All right, listen up. I am an American living in Germany, and I've been here for about 10 years now, so I feel fully qualified to speak on this matter. When I first moved to Europe, I was under the impression of I'm only here temporarily. This is like an extended holiday. I'm gonna do my thing here for a couple of years. Eventually, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna go live back in the States. That's my homeland, land of the free, home of the brave. There's no place better. Now that I've been here for so long, I'm not sure I'm ever leaving. I'm not sure I will ever go back. Growing up, I feel like we were all fed the same lie. There is no place better than the US of A. We are the best country in the world. We are the greatest country in the world. Everyone wants to be us. Everyone wants to come and live here. We are the center of the universe. And let me tell you one thing.
Greetings and once again welcome back to the Real American Reacts. If it is for the first time you're checking me out, kindly subscribe, like and share to my YouTube channel. And to my returning subscribers, I do want to say thank you very much for the love and support you are always giving unto me. Whereby today, guys, our video features a completion of American expatriates living in Europe sharing their experiences, culture shocks, and re-evaluation of life in the United States. They discuss how moving abroad challenged the American dream narrative they grew up with. So I want you guys to watch this entire video to the end, and I'll be back with a few comments.
That ain't it. The second I moved to Germany, I was humbled real quick. No one is jealous of us. No one wants to be us. No one wants to live in America. If anything, they pity us. And sometimes I feel like they even look at America like it's one big joke of a place. The look on people's faces when we tell them what we had to pay to go to college, it's like they can't even fathom it. They think that we're joking, that we're playing some prank on them. Or it's like, you had to have a life-saving surgery and you had to pay thousands of dollars for it? Huh? Here in Germany, if you want to go to a public university, for example, you might pay a few $100s, max. And if you need something medically that's necessary for you to live and be healthy, it's covered by insurance. I've had 2 babies here in Germany, one in the hospital and one at home. And my home birth was also covered by insurance. My husband has also had a few surgeries here in Germany. He tore his MCL, he had to get a knee surgery, he's gotten wisdom teeth out, he had to get veins removed. He's gone under 4 or 5 times. We've never had a bill. Ever. I feel like the biggest difference between Europe and America that I literally can't even wrap my brain around is the fact that here, basic kind of human rights, things like medical care, education, etc., public transportation, are seen as a luxury in America that you have to afford, you have to save for. It's so crazy. And it really makes my blood boil when I see people that I know and love in America, and they're talking about how they can't even afford groceries and they're making their own butter at home because they can't even afford to pay butter. It's just, we are so shell-shocked every time, sticker-shocked actually, every time that we go home. When we were just home over the summer, we had to buy a toothbrush and toothpaste because my husband forgot it here and didn't pack it. He went to the CVS, I think, $13. $13 he had to shell over for a tube of toothpaste and a basic stupid toothbrush. Here, I think our tubes of toothpaste are $1. Literally, this is not an exaggeration, $1. Just why were we fed this lie growing up that we live in the greatest country in the world when people die because they can't even afford healthcare, or they can't even go to the store and pay for butter, or they're working 2 jobs just to live life normally, not even luxuriously. And then there's other places in the world that you don't need to do that. It's just, I don't get it.
I'm as European as you are.
No, you're not. You're not European.
Yes, I am.
You can't call yourself European. Only because you your grandmother European. That makes no sense. If you're basically saying imagine, no. Imagine I have ancestry from Africa. Makes me African? Doesn't make me African. Do I look African? No. Do I look African? Stop saying you're European.
Wait.
No, stop saying you're African. So don't say that. Don't say. You keep saying that you're French. Name 3 things you
Well, my name is my parents.
I don't think Europeans really understand how much Americans want to deal with our problems. We go to Europe, you have universal health care, you work 35 hours a week, you retire at a young age. You don't work nearly as hard as we do in the United States. You have many more benefits, in large part because we pay for all of your security, or a large part of it. And in return, we just get disrespect, entitlement, like we're like your children, and this is a dysfunctional relationship. It needs to end.
If you're an American that has moved abroad,
Yes?
how has your concept of freedom changed?
Well, I've got a few thousand things to say.
Do you prefer the freedom of knowing that you won't get unexpected medical bills?
Abso-fucking-lutely. This insurance card in Germany feels to me literally like a magic card. Every time I use it, I literally think to myself, I don't have to pay anything? As a teenager living in the US, whenever I went to the doctor or dentist, my mom always gave me the insurance card and a credit card. Hey mom, I'm headed to the doctor's. I got your MasterCard with me. Why in the world are you taking that? Take the American Express. We get rewards points.
Do you prefer the freedom of knowing that the government has minimum employment standards, like guaranteed paid time off of between 20 and 40 paid days off a year, depending on which country you've moved to?
In the US, I worked as a waiter for several years. And in those several years, I did not get one single day of paid time off. No vacation days, no paid holidays. We actually had to work on holidays because that's when people go out to eat. And if you're sick, you're fucked. And all that work for $2.35 an hour. You live off of tips, of course. And the German word for tip is actually Trinkgeld, or drinking money, which is funny. But in the US, it would actually be Lebensgeld, or living money. Or I would actually call it Überlebensgeld, surviving money.
Do you prefer the freedom of knowing that if you hear fireworks, you can encourage your children to look out the window rather than questioning whether it's something else you should be afraid of?
Freedom from the fucked up gun culture in the US is a huge freedom for me. Friends of mine, in separate incidents, have been murdered by guns. And the college that I had the privilege of going to, Virginia Tech, had the deadliest school shooting in US history. One of the 32 victims was a Holocaust survivor. He heroically held the door closed with his body as his students escaped through the window, and he was shot through the door. He survived the Holocaust, but did not survive gun violence in the US. In Germany, the fear of being threatened with a gun or getting shot is not a fear that I have. And if something were to happen, though, I've got my magic card.
So yeah, how has your concept of freedom changed?
I love the freedom of not having to drive a car everywhere. Just look at this beautiful map of Berlin's public transportation system. Going to work, I get angry if I have to wait more than 5 minutes for the next train. Whereas in the US, I literally waited 18 years to ride my very first train. I love the freedom of being able to sit down at a cafe and not have someone approach you and talk to you about Jesus. Even worse than that, in the US, both my eye doctor and the nurse at the dentist's office both talk to me about Jesus.
Oh, sweetheart, I sure do hope Jesus is in your heart too. When I found Jesus, or when he found me, I put the bottle down and I felt as free as a bird. I tell you what.
Talking about Jesus and work? I love the freedom of being able to study here and not have to pay thousands and thousands per semester for a football stadium. I love the freedom of not having to constantly hear all the freedom propaganda, despite the lack of various freedoms. And I'm going to end by quoting the most brilliant comment from your video. My freedom went from a concept to reality.
I'm an American living in Ireland, and let me tell you, I am fed up with how Americans are discussing global politics. It's actually insane how self-centered and ignorant we are. And this is coming from someone that can openly admit that it took me living abroad to fully understand and digest how much of an impact the United States have on the rest of the world. The thing about the United States public education system is that they teach as if America is the center of the world versus teaching us about the world. That is why we are so bad at geography. It's also another reason why a lot of Americans do not travel outside of the country, because we are taught that it doesn't get better than there. And obviously there's a bunch of Americans right now and we're all waking up and we're like, dang, like America fucking sucks. And we always fucking sucked. Newsflash. But what's triggering me to talk about this conversation is that in my last video, I was talking about Irish politics and how Irish people are very political. An American commented and said, how does American politics affect the rest of the world? How is it affecting Ireland specifically? A bunch of Irish people commented and gave her multiple reasons why. And instead of sitting and listening and being like, dang, wow, I just got educated on something new, they instead said, well, Americans are affected more. Americans are affected more by what's going on when we get to live in the comfort of our homes, not being worried about being bombed. When our actions in Iran currently is the reason why gas prices are rising globally and not just in our country? Have you lost your mind? This is why people in other countries do not like us, because we are so self-centered with our issues. We sit with this high horse thinking that, oh, everyone just cares and everyone just wants to tune in on us. Do you think other countries want to keep hearing about what Trump is doing? Do you think other countries even give a shit about Americans? No, they don't. But their news stations have no choice but to tune in because his decisions is what's impacting the world. We are losing allies left and right. And I don't just mean government allies and those types of partnerships. I'm talking about people who actually have sympathy for us in other countries, because the more that they hear that we don't care how our tax dollars are being used to affect their country, the more they're going to say that they don't care about us needing to escape the current fascism that's happening.
I stitched a video yesterday about people from America traveling to Europe and saying that they can't get water anywhere because apparently Europeans don't drink water. And it's driving me bonkers because it's just not true. It's just not true, is it? It's just not true. Because for most of Europe, you can just turn on a tap and there's water fountains literally everywhere, and you can go to any place and just say, can I have some tap water? And they give you it for free because it's just tap water. And it's just there, available constantly. But I think the main issue that all these American tourists coming over have is, one, there's like a handful of small remote places across Europe, usually islands where the infrastructure's not as well developed for tap water, where you can't drink the tap water, but it is just a very small percentage of places across Europe. And what all Americans do is they say they're going to Europe as if it's just one place with just one lived experience across the whole of Europe. Because I think, and this is what I think is the root of the issue, all Americans think of themselves and their country as being the world leading most developed, which by every single statistical measurable input and data, it absolutely just isn't, and that's truly exhausting. But they think of Europe as being the place where their ancestors came from. And they think because that it's where their ancestors came from, that when their ancestors left and went to America, where time continued to happen and things developed, that it didn't do that here. So in their minds, Europe is this sort of homogenous place that's like going backwards in time to where their ancestors were from, but not just where, when their ancestors were from, and that it's some sort of historical theme park without taps, apparently. It's not really how that worked.
I moved out of America for the first time in my life 7 months ago, and all my friends from home now would say I've gotten really liberal since moving to Europe. But the truth is, I've just left America for the first time in my life and started seeing fucking reality. And the truth is, we're being lied to our entire life. Amsterdam is where I live now. Everyone thinks it's like the drug capital of the world. There are no crackheads in Amsterdam. 0 crackheads. You got some alcoholics, but no crackheads. You know why? There's no crack. Other thing, prices in the supermarket are like less than half of what I was used to in New York. Now, I don't mean to sound so like negative and like fuck America. I'm very proud to have been born and raised in New York. But my message today is the propaganda machine you were fed is so much louder than you realize, and the world is so much bigger than your hometown and what the media fucking tells you.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America...
So I moved to the UK about 10 years ago for university, and literally my very first night there, I was fresh off the plane. It was Freshers Night, which is like the whole first week of university in the UK. You like go out drinking at like different bars or whatever. And we went out drinking, and this one girl that I was with got so drunk that on the way back home to our student accommodation, she was like, oh, I need to sit down. And she sat down and she just like passed out, and we could not wake her up. Like the girl was just like dead to the world, it seemed like. And immediately the people I was with was like, we need to call an ambulance. And being an American, I was like, we cannot call an ambulance. Like, I had just met this girl. I had no idea if she could afford an ambulance. So I was like begging them not to call an ambulance. And they were looking at me like, do you want this person to die? Like, what is wrong with you? So they called an ambulance. The ambulance came. They like checked her out. Like, she was, you know, alive or whatever. And they took her to the hospital. And I was like hysterical because I was like, oh my God, I've like just moved here and I've like potentially ruined this person's life by like putting them in medical debt for the next God knows how long by calling them an ambulance. And like they brought me home, they sat me down and they were like, what are you freaking out about? And I explained what I was so worried about. And they were like, ambulances are free. Hospitals are free. What is wrong with you? And like, I hadn't realized until that point that healthcare in the UK was completely free. And I still, to this day, like, get nervous every time I have to call an ambulance. But yeah, no, ambulances are free. It's amazing.
Countries in Europe do not have more differences than...
Yelling doesn't make you right. State your facts calmly, please. For the people that did not watch her video, she was saying that countries in Europe have as much or less cultural differences than the states in America, because the US is bigger. And I'm not here to deny cultural diversity in the US or like cultural differences within the US, because it's not true. There is cultural differences. However, it's not comparable. I'm sick of seeing Americans complaining about Europeans not liking them when they say stuff like this. You guys do not care about our history. You do not care about the political state of our countries. You do not care about the actual country. You guys just want to take cute pictures. The reason why I'm bringing up the pictures is because, as proof to what she was saying, she took pictures of different places in Europe and they looked similar. So she was like, yeah, I've seen it all. There's no difference. It's absolutely the same. She also said, let's assume every country in Europe has a totally different history, totally different culture, totally different political background. We don't have to assume. We do. And the political thing was a terrible argument because we do not have the same political systems. That should be enough to tell you that we have different histories, or else we would work the same. Every state has different laws, but still works the same. As a French person, I can confidently say that we do not have the same culture as Romania, we do not have the same culture as Sweden, and even the country that's neighboring us, like Italy, we do not have the same culture as Italians. When I go visit Spain, when I go visit Germany, when I go visit Norway, I still don't feel like I'm in my country because it's a different country. It's a different history, it's a different culture. I still experience culture shocks, even if I'm in Spain, because it's a different country. Voila. No hate to this creator though, but that was stupid to say.
Moving to the UK has completely redefined my idea of ambition and wealth and success and a happy life, because the way that I grew up, especially like the culture of North America, it is all about the reverence of wealth and upward mobility, you know, the American dream. But since being here in the UK, I think that the way that British people view money and nouveau riche and old money is actually, and I've been told this as well, a little bit disdainful. People don't revere rich people the same way that Americans and Canadians do. I think that here, because like the salaries in Europe are so shit, people are not even incentivized to work so hard. You know, like I moved here and was so shocked by how little people are paid. The cost of living in London genuinely is crazy, and like I think that the only way you can survive in the city is by like disassociating. But at least, you know, you're having like a pint at lunch and you get off at work, you know, pretty much like on time. And even when it comes to ambition, I've noticed a really interesting difference between my North American friends and then my British/European friends, which is like ambition is something that I think everyone really adores in North America in terms of the kind of hunger that people have around building themselves up. For instance, I was talking to my friend about this. So we have some friends in fashion, both here in London and in New York. And the New York girls, they are busting their asses. They are hustling. They are extremely burnt out. And then here in London, again, same industry, same kind of role. When I ask them about what they're doing, it's like, oh yeah, you know, just this and that or whatever. They're not like making this their entire identity the same way that I think we do in North America, where your whole sense of self is genuinely anchored by your career. You're here in London. Most of the time, like opening conversations are, how are things? In North America, what do you do? What do you do? And that will inform how this person views you and you know, shapes the conversation. One of the things that really changed for me the most is I don't carry the same guilt for just relaxing and doing nothing and enjoying my weekend the same way that I did growing up. When people are clocking out of work on time, they are seeing their friends after work and spending time with their families on the weekends in a way that like I just am so not used to. Just like a facile reflection of what we have been influenced by, which are industries and capitalism. In the end, especially like as a Korean, where we come from a hyper competitive economic society, sometimes the most elite thing that you can do is to refuse to be a slave to your own ambition.
Dear Americans, you are not expats here in Europe. You are immigrants. Yeah, when you leave the America to come to live in our countries, for example, in my home country, Portugal, and you come here to brag how cheap it is, you should all come here, when in fact it's not cheap for Portuguese people. You are not an expat. You are not a digital nomad. You are an immigrant, just like Mexican people in your country. The difference is Mexican people actually learn your language, for example. While you are here, you live, for example, in Portugal or in Spain for like 3 years and you barely know how to say thank you in our languages. Also, Mexican people in your country have jobs that actually contribute for the country they are currently living in. So in your country, United States, while you, no, because you still work to your own country. So yeah, start respecting immigrants in your country because you also are an immigrant in our countries.
I live and work in Spain, making roughly 1,000 euros a month, which is...
So my friend sent me this and was asking me if it's true because I'm also living in Spain currently, and it's 100% true. So much to the point that I'm going to break down all of my costs a month to show you how absolutely ridiculously livable it is. Rent, 325 euro. Utilities, 30 euro. Food for 1 month, 150 euro. And I kind of spend a lot on food compared to my friends, so that's saying something. Phone bill plus Wi-Fi, 27 euro a month. Gym, 30 euro a month. One singular bus ride is 40 cents. I also get breakfast out every single day, and it's literally affordable to do that. I get like a sandwich with tomato and tuna. Don't knock it until you try it. It's really good. And then I get a cafe con leche, which is practically like a latte. Every morning, the total is $3.30. $3.30. You can't even get a coffee. You can't even get half a coffee for that in the United States. I'm in Granada, and a glass of wine is costing me like 3 euros. And the thing about Granada is you get a tapa with it for free. So what my friends and I will do whenever we want to go out is we'll get 3 glasses of wine, and that comes with 3 tapas, which pretty much is dinner. And then you're literally spending 9 euro on 3 drinks and dinner. And the wine doesn't make you as hungover because it doesn't have all these additives that the United States has. I also only work 14 hours a week. Yeah. No, that's not normal to Spain. It's just like with the program I'm with. I'm walking everywhere. Like it's always sunny outside. Not to mention everyone's literally so friendly. The party life is so much better. Not to mention they got siestas. Come on. Like the best way I would describe living in this country is you feel like a human being. Everything shuts from 2 to 5, 5:30ish every single day so everyone can go home and relax, eat a meal, take a nap. Most things are shut on Sundays, so you always have that day off to just rest. There's fruterias on every single corner where you're getting, like I literally get all my fruits and vegetables for the whole week for like 6 euro from the fruteria, and they're like amazing quality.
I cannot stress enough, if you have the opportunity to come to Spain and just experience life here, whether it's just like short-term, long-term, do it, because it will change your life and your perspective.
American things Europeans think are weird. Paying at restaurants. At most restaurants in the USA, the waiter brings you a bill and you hand off your credit card, and they go in the back to process the payment. In Europe, you pay at the table. They would never go off with your card. Also, at American restaurants, they bring the check when they think you're finished eating, while in Europe, that's often considered rude and they won't bring you the check until you ask for it.
Video is for Belgian people, and more specifically the ones who leave hate comments on my videos whenever I compliment living here, this country, or living in Brussels. You have no idea how privileged you are to live in Belgium. You have no idea how lucky you are to live in a country where your government gives a shit about you. You are so privileged and lucky to live in a country where your taxpayer dollars, which are high but go towards good causes, cover some of the best healthcare, universal healthcare, that will give paid maternity leave before and after birth, paid paternal leave, some of the best education, little to free, basically, for higher education, paid study abroad, Erasmus program, where the government literally pays you to go study in another country and gain another cultural experience. You have no idea how lucky you are to live in a country where at your job you have a high amount of paid time off so that you can enjoy time with your friends and family and not let work rule your life and your world. You have no idea how lucky you are to live in a country where, God forbid, you have children, that the childcare is affordable and does not put you into debt and take out of your savings. You have no idea how lucky you are to live in a country where medical debt is not a thing, where one bad trip in the ambulance will put you $10,000 into debt. You are protected. No idea how lucky you are to live in a country where, God forbid, you get sick. You are protected from your job, from getting in trouble, from getting fired. You have to go to the doctor and get a doctor's note, but you are protected. In the US, it's not like that. They can quite literally deny you missing work, even if you have a doctor's note. You have no idea how lucky you are to live in a country where your taxpayer dollars, where the hard-earned money that you put in, go towards something good, because mine currently are funding a genocide in Gaza. They're going towards bombs and weapons sent straight to Israel, and God else knows where, because in the US we don't have any protections. When I think about it, like, there's no protections. We don't have healthcare. Maternity leave, there's none. Women are literally working up until birth. We go into tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt to get a higher education. You guys get extra PTO. The list goes on. And I understand that, comparison is the thief of joy. I think that you really need to get out of your comfort zone. I think you need to leave Belgium and then come back. And I think you will be appreciative and realize how privileged and blessed you are to live here, because not every place has that. And that's coming from someone who's from the US, who had an incredible life in the US, but I can still reflect on how privileged you guys are, including me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm an American here, first time in the UK, here to try out the famous grapes.
Okay, so before he tries a sausage, beans, and cheese, he's getting a taste of, so they don't come off. They stay on. This is UK Fanta.
Wow.
It's a lot different.
It's got a real
orange taste.
Good bite. An orange citrus bite.
Yeah.
Don't get that in the US. I'm glad I'm in the UK.
Okay, so you're trying out a sausage, beans, and cheese. This one doesn't look like it's super fresh, but still good. So go ahead and give it a whirl. I've already had these. I'm just eating them because I enjoy eating them. There's a plain.
Smells like a pastry. Love the texture. That's one thing I noticed in all the foods I've been tested with from the UK. They focus a lot on texture.
Oh, so you've had cheesy beans before.
Love that.
But you got cheesy beans and the sausage that you had in the sausage roll. So when these things are piping hot fresh, it's really hard to beat.
Growing up in Hawaii, we ate pork and beans and bread. Not toast like the UK. Bread. And I like this better. I love pork and beans, but this rivals
when it's
pork and
packaged
beans.
nicely. Like, it's all built into this nice square heavenly packet of goodness. What do you rate it?
Question is, can I get it in the U.S.? Does it taste good? Am I willing to spend my hard-earned American dollars for this? And the answer is yes. And you know what I say? It's a 10.
Really, really, really great point. Not only is the food poison though, but I would say so is the culture. Right now it's I think it's like 2:22 here in Spain. And everyone's getting on a break to get off to come eat with their families. People are picking their kids up from school. We're getting off work just to have a meal together. Isn't that nuts? But the crazy thing about that is nothing's gonna change until at least everyone notices. For example, if you have a boss that wants you in the building every day at 6 a.m. and you're leaving the office around 10 or 11, that's how my last job was. You don't have time for 4 meals a day. You don't have time for a nap. You don't have time for anything outside of working and figuring out what food you're gonna eat until it's time to work again. I woke up this morning at about 8:15. I went to bed at 11 and I didn't log into work until around 11 a.m. And believe me when I say this, I'm already done with work at 2 p.m. I'm on the way to the grocery store to get more food. And then I still have time for lunch and a nap.
Welcome back, guys. I hope you've watched this entire video to the end, and we are back once again on Tour by. I want to talk about the health care that has been mentioned onto the video Tour by. A recurring point in the contrast between the US system and European universal health care. Expatriates describe the immense relief of having access to medical care without the fear of financial ruin or overwhelming medical debt. We talk about the work-life balance, whereby the video emphasizes that European cultures prioritize rest, family time, and leisure. Note that they feel less defined by their careers and experience significantly less guilt when taking breaks or enjoying weekends compared to the hustle culture prevalent in the United States of America. We have the public safety and infrastructure, whereby contributors highlight the freedom of living in cities with reliable public transportation and a reduced fear of gun violence. There is the cost of living, whereby I'm going to break down their monthly expenses, whereby, you know, some of them just broke down their monthly expenses. Example, in Spain, and illustration shows how affordable daily necessities, food and housing can be in certain parts of Europe compared to major US cities. And shifting perspective was talked about onto the video, whereby I want to describe a process of waking up in the propaganda they feel they were fed about the US. And so yeah, we come out onto these question asking ourselves, how do Europeans view American work habits? If you may be asking yourself, and let me just break it down onto you based on the experiences shared in the video. Europeans perceive American work habit through the lens of a disdain for the hustle culture and intense focus on career advancement that characterizes North American life. Here we are going to talk about it, whereby disdain for leave to work. Many expatriates highlight that while North America often anchor their entire identity and self-worth to their jobs, Europeans prioritize a healthier work-life balance. And cities like London, there is often a more cynical view of rich status and the extreme pressure to constantly perform, whereby we have got the hustle versus human dynamics. And to it, I want to describe the transition form, whereby the high stress long hours typical of the US to European environments, where people prioritize clocking out on time, taking proper lunch breaks, and spending weekends with family. And the questioning ambitions is there is a strong contrast noted between the North American adoration of hyper competitive ambition and the European tendency to value time and leisure as the markers of a successful elite life. For many, the ability to refuse to be a slave to ambition is seen as a higher form of freedom. Let's dive in and check about education, and in it, how does American education limit global awareness? And onto it, according to the perspectives shared in the video, the American public education system contributes to limited global awareness in several ways. One of them is the center of the world narratives, whereby I want to argue that the system teaches history and social studies from an American-centric perspective, often presenting the US as the focal point of global affairs rather than teaching students about the world at large. In it, we have got the impact on geography and travel. This educational focus is cited as primary reason why many Americans struggle with geography and why a significant portion of the population does not travel internationally, as they are often raised with the belief that there is no place better than the US. Self-centered perspective, and to it, want to suggest this educational foundation fosters an ignorant or self-centered view of global politics, and these highlights instances where Americans fail to recognize how US actions, policies, and political decisions have direct consequences for other nations rather than just affecting Americans. So those were just some of the few key points and towards this video that I had to narrow it down for you guys, so as you can understand on why it is said that, you know, the Americans have been brainwashed while in Europe. So I need to know whatever you think about this amazing video. Let's come around, share our thoughts throughout the comment section so we can get to interact and know what you think, and mainly because your opinion does matters to us every day. Thank you very much guys for following up the video with me. I was your host, The Real American Reactions. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe, like, and share to my YouTube channel. And to my returning subscribers, I do want to say thank you very much for the love and support you are always giving unto me. Always remember to link me up through my next videos. All I do want to say is peace out there.